Jimmy Kimmel's return delivers massive ratings increase. Jimmy Kimmel has been a hot topic over the last week. His show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, faced preemption over his comments on the killing of Charlie Kirk. Now, he's back on the air, and the ratings for his first episode have blown past the show's previous viewership. According to Deadline, Kimmel's first episode back on the air drew 6.26 million live plus same-day viewers. He previously averaged about 1.77 million viewers. This number represents practically 4 times more viewers than Jimmy Kimmel Live typically draws. Of course, the ratings don't include streaming numbers from Hulu. However, it's assumed that his viewership on that platform is also higher than usual. It's worth noting that this is despite his show not being available in 23% of U.S. markets. Naturally, a vast discourse ensued after Disney announced on September 17 that it was suspending Kimmel indefinitely. Many celebrities supported the late-night television host, and some fans elected to cancel their Hulu and Disney Plus subscriptions. As a result, his return to television was met with great fanfare. Business Insider reported before the official ratings were released that his monologue had broken a YouTube record for the show. By noon on September 24th, the upload had amassed 13 million viewers. Previously, the highest viewed video had 14 million viewers to date. Currently, the 28-minute video, called Jimmy Kimmel is Back, has a staggering 17 million views. It also has 1.1 million likes on the platform. He stated in his opening monologue, "Maybe most of all, I want to thank the people who don't support my show and what I believe, but support my right to share those beliefs anyway." Of course, he also referenced the tragic killing of Kirk. Kimmel said, "It was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what was obviously a deeply disturbed individual." Elsewhere in the speech, he highlighted Erica Kirk's words about forgiveness at her late husband's memorial service. His show isn't in all markets. As mentioned, Jimmy Kimmel Live isn't airing in about 23% of U.S. households. This is the case as Sinclair, which owns several local ABC stations nationwide, has decided to continue preempting the show. The company said on X, "Beginning Tuesday night, Sinclair will be preempting Jimmy Kimmel Live across our ABC affiliate stations and replacing it with news programming. Discussions with ABC are ongoing as we evaluate the show's potential return." The company owns about 30 local ABC stations. It's unclear where the involved parties have arrived in their talks to restore his show to Sinclair stations. When Jimmy Kimmel walked back onto the set of Jimmy Kimmel Live for his first new episode in months, the audience inside the studio wasn't the only one cheering. Viewers at home tuned in by the millions, delivering one of the biggest ratings bumps the late-night landscape has seen in years. For ABC, the surge proved more than just a win for a single night. It signaled that in an era when streaming dominates and traditional television fights for cultural relevance, the right host, the right moment, and the right comeback can still command a collective spotlight. The long wait. Kimmel's return wasn't simply another new season premiere. It followed an extended hiatus caused by last year's Hollywood writers' strike, which shuttered production across nearly every late-night program. For months, audiences accustomed to nightly doses of satire, monologues, and celebrity banter had to make do with reruns, podcasts, and social media clips. While competitors like Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon also went dark, the absence felt especially notable for Kimmel, whose mix of biting political humor and self-effacing charm has earned him a loyal fan base since his debut in 2003. By the time Kimmel finally stepped back behind his desk, anticipation had built to a fever pitch. Viewers wanted fresh comedy, yes, but they also wanted a familiar voice to make sense of an increasingly chaotic news cycle. Ratings that tell a story. According to early Nielsen numbers, Kimmel's comeback episode drew a massive double-digit increase over his previous season's average, pulling in millions of viewers across both live broadcast and next-day streaming platforms. Social media metrics told a similar story. Clips from the episode, ranging from his monologue jabs at Washington to his tongue-in-cheek reunion with sidekick Guillermo, garnered tens of millions of views within days. For ABC, the ratings surge was a reminder of how event-like late-night television can still feel when the host returns after a long absence. In a fragmented media ecosystem, where audiences are often scattered across dozens of apps, the numbers suggested that Kimmel's audience wasn't just passively interested, they were actively waiting. The power of absence. Part of the rating spike can be explained by something surprisingly simple. Scarcity. In entertainment, the more something is withheld, the more people crave it. For months, Kimmel fans had no fresh episodes to watch. That vacuum created pent-up demand, turning what might otherwise have been a routine season premiere into a must-see event. Kimmel himself leaned into the idea during his opening monologue, joking that he had forgotten how to read the teleprompter and teasing his writers about being rusty. By turning the strike and the hiatus into comedy fodder, he acknowledged the gap while transforming it into shared experience with his audience. A shifting late-night landscape. Kimmel's strong return comes at a time when late-night television faces unique pressures. The traditional 11:30 p.m. time slot is no longer the cultural appointment it once was, back when Johnny Carson or David Letterman defined the format. Today, viewers often consume late-night content not at midnight, but the next morning on YouTube, TikTok, or Twitter. The success of a host is measured as much by trending clips as by live broadcast return demonstrated that live TV still matters. The fact that so many tuned in simultaneously suggested a collective hunger for real-time comedy, something that feels increasingly rare in an age of on-demand entertainment. What makes Kimmel different? While Fallon relies on goofy sketches and Colbert leans heavily into politics, Kimmel has carved a space that blends both. He can roast a senator one moment and play a silly prank on Matt Damon the next. That balance has kept him relevant across demographics and explains why his return resonated widely. Moreover, Kimmel's humor often carries a personal authenticity. Over the years, he has used his platform to speak candidly about his son's health struggles, about the healthcare debate, and about issues like gun violence. That sincerity, layered with comedy, makes him a trusted figure, someone audiences were eager to welcome back after months of silence. Social media as force multiplier. Perhaps the most striking aspect of Kimmel's return wasn't just the television ratings but the digital aftershock. Within hours of airing, clips of his opening monologue dominated trending sections on YouTube and Twitter, now X. Fans shared moments, journalists embedded highlights, and memes sprouted across platforms. The virality extended Kimmel's reach far beyond ABC's late-night audience. Younger viewers who may never sit through an entire episode on cable still engaged with his jokes online, amplifying his presence in the broader cultural conversation. Competition reacts. Colbert and Fallon also saw bumps when they returned after the strike, but industry analysts noted that Kimmel's numbers were particularly sharp compared to his pre-hiatus averages. For networks, this raised questions. Was Kimmel uniquely positioned to capture post-strike momentum, or does it suggest audiences still value variety in late night when given a reason to tune in? Some insiders suggested that Kimmel benefited from timing. His return coincided with a particularly dramatic week in national politics, giving his writers ample material. Others argued that Kimmel's style, equal parts sardonic and heartfelt, feels particularly suited to the current moment. Cultural relevance beyond ratings. The significance of Kimmel's return extends beyond raw numbers. It underscored late-night TV's enduring role as a barometer of American culture. While streaming dramas and reality franchises dominate viewership, late-night hosts remain some of the few entertainers who comment on current events in near real time. In that sense, Kimmel's comeback wasn't just about comedy. It was about re-establishing a nightly ritual where millions turn to a familiar voice to laugh, process, and occasionally reflect on the day's news. What's next for Kimmel? The real question is whether Kimmel can sustain the momentum. History suggests that rating spikes from returns often taper as audiences settle back into routine. However, Kimmel's team appears determined to keep the energy high. Early episodes have leaned on strong celebrity bookings, fresh sketches, and sharp political satire. If he can maintain the balance between viral online moments and strong broadcast numbers, Kimmel could not only hold onto his surge but redefine how late night thrives in 2025 and beyond. A broader lesson for television. At a time when many declare linear television dead, Kimmel's massive ratings increase serves as a counter-narrative. It demonstrates that audiences will still show up, sometimes in droves, if the programming feels special, relevant, and scarce. For networks, the challenge lies in recreating that sense of event television more often, rather than relying solely on routine scheduling. Conclusion. Jimmy Kimmel's return to late night wasn't just another episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live. It was a cultural moment that reminded viewers why late-night TV still matters. The massive ratings increase reflected not only pent-up demand after a long hiatus but also Kimmel's unique ability to connect across humor, heart, and honesty. As the television industry continues to evolve, one thing is clear. When Jimmy Kimmel takes the stage, people still want to watch. And for now, at least, that's a punchline ABC can celebrate.